Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential, chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. About to dive into part 2 of what is our Have It All webinar series. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you come by. All you have to do is go to youwillhaveitall.com/webinar, and you can register for the next one. We've moved them. They were on Thursdays. Now they're going to be at Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all of you global trotters. That is New York time. So mark your calendars and do the exchange that you need. This is a series that we're going to do up until the time that we have our live event, which is happening November 3rd and 5th. By the way, as of September 15th, that is going to be the last day that we offer the 100% refund on your ticket. Tickets to save your spot are $297. You will get that refunded to you immediately after the event, upon your attendance, obviously. So September 15th is the last day that you can grab that. So make sure, if you're at all interested, that you go grab that ticket so you can get that deal. After that, we're going to probably reduce that 100% to 50% of the $297. So get it now. youwillhaveitall.com/live to grab your tickets. And with that, let's jump into part 2. It starts off on a very funny note. I will let you enjoy that. Have an amazing day, my friends.
For the rest of your life,
took in one direction.
Yeah, for the rest of your life, you'll have an analogy of poo pie every time you're in a fight. You'll be like, "Stop putting whipped cream on a poo pie." Okay. All right. So now let's roll it back, because everything that you learned mostly in your life happened between about the age of 2 to about 7, and most of it a lot earlier. And it's been really interesting to know this, or at least like have these experiences and understand that for the most part, that's human development, and watch Elon's kids grow, because you can see them doing this at a really young age. Like, I remember the first time I spotted Shia going through this process he was less than 2 years old. And I was like, wow, this stuff starts early. And that's interesting.
Way earlier than we thought.
Well, yeah, honestly. Earlier than I had imagined, because I always like, okay, like 4 to 7, stuff like that, when the brain's kind of in more its logical processing. But it seems to happen way before, and neuroscience would probably back that up. And that's important to understand, because when you're doing stuff like this, doing regression and going back to the source moment will give you access to, holy crap, I invented that whole thing. And then the moment you realize you invented it, you have a choice to let it go and create a new story. So basically what you've done is, you were an upset little kid. Something happened to you, whether you watched it happen or it directly happened to you. You had this upset moment. And when we get upset, what we start doing is going directly to survival mode. Because that brain activity that Elon's talking about is the reptilian brain activating, right, which sits behind your conscious mind, and it actually overrides the programming of the conscious mind, and you go right into fight or flight, and all those responses are in to deal with survival. So when you're fighting, you're dealing with survival, because them calling you out or making you defensive or whatever it is that you're allowing for activates survival, and now you're literally like a knife is coming at your face and you got to protect yourself. So we do this verbally, we do it through actions, people get abusive, all this kind of stuff, and then they like come snap back into the reality, and they're like, holy crap, what did I do?
Yep.
So this is important to note, because a lot of this stuff, even if you do a regression, you can't get back to, because most of us, I know I sure don't remember much about my life. Maybe some memories at 4 years old. 3 and 2, I barely have any, like, faded memories. And those are probably memories that were told to me, not memories that I actually have.
Yep.
So like, I really don't remember much about my life, even 5, 6, or 7. I have like faded little memories here and there. But again, like, and all the programming happens during that time. So we want to gain insight to what is the programming, right? Like, what could you look at to understand the programming? Now, looking at issues you currently have will give you clues to your programming, because that feeling and that way of action, even if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, you've been doing that same action since the moment that original situation happened. So it's felt the same. You've said the same things. You've held your body in the same posture the same way, and it's always led to the same results, right? So again, if you want the results that you have right now in your relationships, in your business, in your health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, keep doing what you're doing. Inevitably, it will lead to the same result. If you want different results, you got to pick a different way to be, a different way of being. Okay, being is a really important word here. So we want to investigate what happened. So here are the questions that you want to start asking yourself, and these are the writer downers. And this is the work you're going to do later. For some of you guys, it's going to be right there. Other you guys are going to have to just go in and investigate a little bit. So here's what you want to ask yourself. What did you see your mom making your dad wrong for?
Say that slowly so they can write that down. These are the writer downers.
These are great questions. You can write them in the box too if you want. So what did you see your mom making your dad wrong for? Or what do you remember your mom making your dad wrong for? In contrast, what did you see your dad making your mom wrong for? Did I say that right? What did you see your dad making your mom wrong for?
Yep. And just explain to them, sorry, when you say make wrong, so they kind of know what that means.
Yeah, so make wrong, like, I saw like my mom making my dad wrong for that he never listened to her. Okay. I saw my dad make my mom wrong for that he never got stuff done on time, even though he promised he would.
Or like he worked all the time and never took care of the kid.
It could be like you saw your father making your mom feel stupid or lonely or all these kind of stuff. Okay. So those are the two questions. Now you want to think about growing up. What was your experience that people made you wrong for? Like, so if you were in school, or even later, or even in your job right now, or with your spouse, there's something that you feel continuously that people are making you wrong for. And broski, just, I have 20 to 25 minutes before I gotta do a hard stop. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll finish this up and then we'll kind of move on. Okay. So what is your experience that people make you wrong for? And now you want to look out into the world and you want to look at what do you make people wrong for? Do you make them wrong for being stupid, for working too slow, for being too angry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And you got to get honest with yourself, right? Like you got to get in the mud with yourself and get really honest, because most of us think we're like pristine little angels that couldn't possibly make anybody wrong for, but you're walking around all day long judging every single person you see and being like, what an idiot, or this person cut me off, what an asshole, right? Like all that stuff. There's some conversation that led to that conclusion that they're an asshole. Like what's underneath the surface of that? And you got to get really honest with yourself. Okay. So the way that it kind of seems to operate, and by the way, these questions are a really good way to investigate your personal identity. These are questions to look at. How did I form my identity? What is my identity? So like identify the identity is basically what we're looking for. Now we're not asking these questions so that you can dismantle your identity or change it or fix it, because there's nothing to change or fix. That's just your identity. Guess what? You're stuck with it. There's no transformation happening there. What we're looking for is to start noticing it, because mostly we're all walking around so unconscious that we're not actually noticing our identity doing what our identity does, and we let it run amok. And there's something that's available when you start shining a light on the identity. By the way, part of the design and function of the identity is to be hidden from your view. So for instance, like what you see people make what people make you wrong for, the way we respond to it is, I'm not that way. And that response hides from your view that you really are. So for instance, in my life growing up, for many times, I have been accused of having a short fuse many, many times. Now that accusation often leads me to having a short fuse, because I immediately get into defensive mode that I am not that way. And I want to prove that I'm not that way. And I prove that by having a short fuse.
I prove that.
It's not a great way to prove that you don't have a short fuse, right? And I say to myself, well, I'm not that way. You're an asshole for even bringing that up. And deep down, here's the truth. We know that we really are that way. And we don't deal with that. And we make it wrong. And then we make everybody else wrong for it. And this is the design of the identity, so the identity doesn't get found out. Okay? And our response to it is how we make the world wrong. So they're stupid, they're ignorant, they're hurtful, whatever it is that you say about them is your justification for not seeing how you show up in life. Okay? Now, the thing between your mom and your dad is a structure of basically like your worldview. So you either adopted the way that they were, or you rebelled against it and you went to the opposite side of the coin. But pretty much it leads to the same results. So you'll see this with a lot of successful people. If mom made dad wrong for being poor and not having money, you will probably be like, I'm going to be so successful, because you don't want to be made wrong about not having money. And a lot of people with that kind of story end up being mega successful around money, but they're miserable everywhere else in their life, because in their worldview, their identity created that money equals love. And then they find out that that's not true. And then they struggle with that, right? So you really want,
or they don't find out that it's true and they live their entire lives that way.
Right. So here's what there really is to do with this information. It's like a lot of you guys might have like big aha moments about how you are by doing this exercise. And it probably will take you a whole 5 to 10 minutes to do this, okay? Here's what I want you to imagine. You know that fish from Finding Nemo? Or like, you've seen this fish, like in the deep dark water, there's this fish that has this like thing that comes out here and a little light out in front of it. In Finding Nemo, they have a whole scene where they see a light and she's playing with it, and then they start swimming around, and this thing is trying to eat them. I don't know the name of that fish. I should probably find out. But that light is that fish's bait, right? And this fish's design is to eat whatever gets attracted by that bait, right? We are exactly the same way. We put out the bait, they take the bait, and then our identity goes and starts going crazy. Now we're addicted to the identity.
I think it's called anglerfish, by the way.
Anglerfish, that sounds about right. So we're constantly in the process of doing that with people. So a good way to see this is like if you walk into like a room with a lot of people, like a party, you can sniff out those people. You know exactly who to talk to bait them into your identity so you can do your shtick. And this is like an ongoing thing that happens all the time. And it's not like you have one bait, you have a lot of different strategies for baiting people into your identity. And like Elon said, you're so addicted to this thing that it just becomes the way things are. And you conclude that you know how you are, you conclude that you know how they are, and you conclude that you know how the world is. And you walk around as if you know everything there is to know about everything, and then you stop learning anything about the way the world is. And here's the funny part. So there's studies right now that show your average human being has 5 best friends, okay? Let's multiply that by 10 and say there's 50 really close people to you in your entire life, by the way. That's what the study's about. And let's say you're exposed to another 50, 100, a few more 100 people. There's 7.3 billion people, I think, on the planet. If we did the ratios on how many people that is that you're actively exposed to in any deep, meaningful way, let's say it's a few hundred people, that's like 0.0000000, lots of zeros, and a 1% of the entire world. And you think you know what the world is like by investigating 50 people in your life. That's a little bit crazy, right? You're exposed to nothing during a lifetime in terms of people's perspective and what's out there. I want you guys to know that if you can think it or imagine it, there is some human out there doing that thing that you can think or imagine. We all have the capacity for all of it. From the best of us in the sainthood to people who are murderous and genocide, we all have that capacity. And mostly what's made the difference is the circumstances you grew up in and how you responded to them. Okay? So again, there's nothing to do about fixing your identity, but it's really helpful to see how it is that you bait people. Again, I'll use that example where, I don't remember who said that, but about like the 10 minutes before, knowing what's coming, that's the bait. Whatever happened before that, that's you looking at the bait going, I know what's coming next. And then the identity attacks, okay? And inside that world, what you lose is what could have been possible. So here's something to inquire about, because this is what this kind of education has at least led me into the inquiry of. If everything can be resolved inside the domain of communication, and I truly believe that that's so, and there could be a time in my life where that's an expanded thing, but in the most simplistic form, I believe everything can be handled in communication. No matter how bad you fuck it up with somebody, in the world of communication, you can get it handled, okay? If you properly know how to actually communicate to people.
And just to clarify that might not mean like you have one conversation and it's over. That might mean that you need to have 12 conversations. But that continuous conversation, that continuous communication, you could literally, I mean, I've seen people alter the most heinous things that you can imagine were corrected when they got into communication.
Absolutely. So again, you're looking for clues right now into how it is that you set off this chain reaction, because all you guys already know the results of this chain reaction. And if you don't like the results you're getting, guess what? That chain reaction is going to lead you to the same results over and over again. So there's two domains you can look at and where you can alter this a little bit. And one is in your listening, and the other one's in your in your speaking, right? In your communication. So these are two different language patterns that we use. Most people are terrible listeners because they don't know that you need to be trained in listening. They just think that it's like a passive thing that you do, so they don't listen. Your average person is not listening. They're waiting for their turn to talk. And they're not even waiting for their turn to talk. What they're really listening to is not the person who's saying anything. They're listening to all their assessments about what's being said, and then they're waiting for their turn to talk, which basically means they're having a conversation with themselves. The other person is just there for show. You know, just so you can like throw up your bullshit on them and convince them and manipulate them and do all these things that we do. And I know those are strong words, but it's like we're all in this habit of trying to convince everybody to see the world from our perspective, even though there are 7.3 billion perspectives, none of which are really invalid, but we try to invalidate each other all the time, okay? So imagine if you could step into a conversation without thinking, without the recall process that we normally do, without bringing all your past and judgments and assessments into every conversation, and you sat there and played with the space of bringing nothing into the listening. And I assert that what you may find if you do this is that there will be a space for rediscovery for you and for them. You'll see them newly, and they'll be able to self-discover all sorts of things about you and about the way things are if you're able to bring nothing to the conversation. Now, this also means that if somebody says something, like, you know, if you have like an ex-boyfriend that you hate and you're with like in a new relationship, and the moment that next guy says something that sounded like what the ex-boyfriend says, your brain goes, oh shit, here we go again. And now what happens is you bring that past into the present and you listen to everything through that filter, and they sound exactly like the last person, even though they're nothing like the last person. And that's why people go, how come I keep ending up with the same guy? Or how come I keep ending up with the same boss? Or how come blah, 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 blah? Or how come like somebody wrote about quitting smoking cigarettes? You're bringing a filter into your listening all the time, and you keep getting the same information over and over again. That's what's happening, okay? Same thing with your speaking. Could you bring nothing to the conversation? Meaning, could you not wait for your turn to talk? Could you turn off the little voice in your head that's having assessment? And could you really be present with somebody in a meaningful way? So instead of you waiting for your turn to talk, you just let the space give you what to say. This is a lot more similar to dancing, right? Like when you're dancing, you could have like a set moves and patterns, or you could just kind of like freestyle dance with your partner. We're kind of talking about the freestyle dance. Like you let the motion and the moment kind of determine what the motion is going to be, okay? So these are just some things that we want you guys to play with. If you're in our SatoriPrime business and mindset group, we would love to hear feedback on what's opening up for you, what insights. And again, guys, right now it's not about fixing or healing anything. In fact, if you try to fix something, what you're going to do is you're going to lean towards more, better, different. And what you're going to get is more, better, different of the same results. So if you want to write that down, fixing leads to more, better, different. And all you get is more, better, different of the same results. Okay? We really want to open you up to start looking at not what you're doing, but that there's alternate ways to be, like being. And that's a completely different domain to look at, being versus doing. And inside the world of being, a question to ask yourself is, when you're in these situations, what was missing that if it was present, it would make a difference? And you want to answer that question in the way that you were being. So if you like brought to the conversation with your spouse, like I was being judgmental, judgment leads to that result, because you take actions that a judgmental takes, you get the results a judgmental person gets, right? So what might be missing in that moment is like play, like being playful. And if you're being playful, like imagine being playful with your husband, like what kind of result would you get, right? Like a completely different thing. And I'm sorry, I keep saying husband, like there's something wrong with the ladies. This goes both ways. Okay? I apologize for that. I'm just like a man.
No, clearly.
From a man's world. All right, so I think that kind of gives the world of it. Do you guys have any insights, anything that's opened up for you, you know, around this conversation already? By the way, Gina, so like I could say I was a smoker, but I was a smoker too. And I have those urges all the time, but so one of the things that when you start looking at where you can be held accountable, so like you want to be held accountable then for that new way of being. And something that's so critical for all of us is to have a committed listener. Okay? This is so important. So like Elon and I are committed listeners for each other. we're always aware of what the other person is creating and what they're committed to, and we hold them accountable for that. So like Elon and I are committed to having an amazing relationship and partnership in everything that we do. When it doesn't show up that way, and if it doesn't work between us, we'll create another committed listener that can hold us accountable for what we say that we want. Humans, for the most part, don't hold themselves accountable for anything. I know very few people that are are good at self-accountability, if that's a word at all. Personal accountability, let's say that. Okay, so you want to have what's called a committed listener. You want to create this new way of being with somebody that can hold you accountable for it. Okay, so anything about any of this, guys? You hate this, you love this, this is interesting, go F yourself, your identity's flaring up, you want to throw me off a bridge, like anything, it really doesn't matter.
Gina, can you tell Gina the book that made a difference for you?
Yeah, Gina, there's a book called The Easy Way to Stop Smoking. And it fundamentally uses a lot of the things that we're talking about to shift consciousness around smoking. Because smoking is just I'm a smoker is a way of looking at things. It's a conversation. Most people who try to quit smoking use willpower. Most people try to achieve anything use willpower. How does that go? Like never that well, right? So that book will alter your paradigm in such a way that when you look at a smoker, you'll feel nothing but pity for them. Because I know when I first stopped smoking, I would look at them and I would just feel jealous that they were smoking, and I was sitting here going, well, I'm not going to give myself one. It's like looking at a piece of cake and not being able to eat it. So if you change the conversation about smokers, like you start feeling pity for people because you see the trap that they're in, it's very natural not to want a cigarette. Okay, cool. So you guys are, welcome to keep sounding off as we go through this. Because of I don't want to extend this webinar into a marathon. I want to just at least leave you with this. If you have any questions about anything that I just proposed, offered, etc., you want clarity, please let us know. The other thing that we want to do is we want to invite you to at least take a look at what we have coming up right now, okay? So let me put this on the screen while I'm communicating this. So here's our company has changed profoundly over the last 5 years. We're still doing the online marketing thing for those of you guys that know us, but right now our company is in a full-on rebrand, and we have one core message as a company. We're here for transformation. We're here for personal development. We're here to empower people, and that means in your relationships, in your business, in your health. We believe that you can live life at every level at a 10. And if you have some area of life that no matter what you've done hasn't seemed to work or change the results, we're the type of people you want to work with, because we're going to give you experiences, insights, and paradigm shifts that are going to give you access to showing up in a completely new way that are going to offer you the results that you're looking for, or at least get you significantly closer to that target. And anybody who's been in our coaching group, and if you've watched the testimonials, and you can on that page, you're going to see people having radical shifts in the way that they're showing up in life and the results that they're getting because they're accessing these kind of distinctions. And we show them how to go use these tools to make immediate transformations in the areas of life that matter to them, okay? So right now, we have a live event coming up in November. A few of you guys on here are coming already. I know Mark and Gina are coming to the event. You can check it out at youwillhaveitall.com/live. For those of you guys who are on this webinar right now, there's a few bonuses that you need to know about. Number one is we have our Mindfluence course. That's a at-home course that goes through 10 extremely life-altering and valuable distinctions, and we use those ongoingly in our training. It also gives you access to 2 bonus exercises that you can do that will literally shift things like that for you in terms of your relationships. And there's a live talk that Elon and I did a few years back in Dallas. It's a really powerful exercise also. That comes the moment that you reserve your seat. We have 5 more seats left available for a 4-hour private training. So on November 3rd, when the event starts, the official start time is 6 p.m. But from 2 to 6, we're doing a 4-hour private pre-training session with myself and Elon. And that's going to be a small group of about 20 people. And we're going to do literally private training and private coaching. And Elon and I are working on what that's going to be, but that'll be completely different than anything happens at the event. And only, it's kind of like our fast action bonus, whatever. Sorry, I'm terrible at these fucking sales pitches. Here's the information, right? So we have about 5 more seats available for that currently. Here's what you got to know about the event. the tickets are actually free. Okay, so the tickets are free for you. Here's what I mean. So if you want to reserve a seat for just yourself, it's $297. If you want to reserve it for two, it's even cheaper. It's $500. So $250 a ticket. As long as you attend the event and complete the course within within 7 days, we are going to refund you that cost back. It will be at no cost to you. So we're going to just take like your information, we'll PayPal you the money, and literally the ticket is free. So we're having to take money because we can't have an open-ended forum where we don't know how many people are showing up. Also, we know that if you have something at stake, you're going to pay. You're going to pay attention. If it was just a free ticket, you're going to be like, all right, whatever, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. It's important to have something at stake. That's how a proper game is played. And our event is there for you to play, like literally have the experience of play, but play in your life so that you can alter the results that you're getting, okay? We did an event in February. It was incredible. People had just like life-altering experiences. And that whole event was a day and a half. Literally, it was really one long day with like a preview day beforehand. We're doing 2.5 full days here. So that means exercises. That means like coaching, bringing you up and actually doing direct coaching with you. All sorts of really, really amazing things. Like it's going to be ultra valuable. Elon and I have been training and coaching in human development with ourselves for roughly 28 years collectively. We've been actively coaching people for 10 years. So as you can see, all these things I'm telling you are not coming off a notepad. I can deliver them in the way that I'm delivering them because I live these things and I see them at the effect. And I've been teaching and coaching people and these principles for a long time, watching people get amazing results in their life. And so you're not coming from people who like read The Power of Now and we're regurgitating The Power of Now. Like this is stuff we actively use in our business, in our relationships. And if you guys know how we live our lives, I'm telling you right now, the access for these amazing lives that we live is this kind of work. It will open up a whole new world for you. I guarantee it. Okay. If you have any questions at all about the event, payments, etc., up top, you can contact Jordan. She's our operations manager. Please write down her name because people get it wrong all the time. They think it's Jordan, and it's not Jordan. It's Jordan, Jordanne at SatoriPrime.com. Any question you have about the event, shoot it to her. If we need to get involved, we'll deal with it personally, and that's it. We can get it handled. Again, youwillhaveitall.com/live. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, if for any reason you know that November 3rd, 4th, and 5th doesn't work for you, you can't come to San Diego, you think you don't have enough money or enough time, which by the way, I think are absolutely bullshit excuses not to come. Like if you want to break through in time and money, this is your opportunity to do that. Buying a ticket to something is you saying yes to a new future. It's just like when you buy a ticket to go on vacation. Even though that thing is happening out there in the future, you start taking actions consistent with that future that's coming. So all you guys know, if you're going to go to some like resort or some beachfront property, blah, 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 that you're going to be sitting in a bathing suit a long period of time, guess what? The moment you buy that ticket, you start heading to the gym a whole lot more. You go buy the clothes, you go do this, you go do that, right? Like you want to look as sexy as possible and get to the beach. The future that's coming is giving you actions consistent with that future is coming. That's how everything in life works. Most people are so afraid to say yes. They want to know how to, they don't want to throw the hat over the wall and then figure out how to go get it. They want to figure out how to get the hat before they throw it over the wall. So we're inviting you to challenge yourself that if you want to be at that event, and by the way, I'm only speaking to people who are yeses to being at the event for this, or you're a yes, but. If you're a no, it's fine. We honor your decision. All good. Thank you for coming today. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you're a yes, but I don't have money or time, there's whatever comes after that but is what's running your life. It's running the show, and it's been doing it a long flippin' time. Taking actions consistent with the new future right now is the breakthrough you're looking for. By the time you show up at the event, that will have been handled. We're going to get to work on the deeper stuff. Okay? So that's important to know. However, if you are a no, you can't come, and you still want to work with us, here's the other opportunity. We do online group coaching every month, twice a month. Bi-monthly is twice a month, right? Not bi-weekly. Is that what that means?
Yeah, it's bi-weekly.
No, I think bi-monthly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Bi-monthly, bi-weekly, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so
every 2 weeks.
2 times a month, every 2 weeks, we do group coaching online. We talk about these kind of distinctions. We give you exercises. We've done now 22 sessions since the beginning, since towards the end of last year. People in our group are like freaking hair on fire lit. So if you go to youwillhaveitall.com, there's actually another presentation that we did a few months back to give you more information about that. That one's an exercise in fear. You can go through that if you want. If you know that you want to become part of our coaching community, for you guys today and you guys today only, it's $197 a month to be part of that community. You can even save $100 off your first month. You can basically get 5 hours of coaching from us for $97. That's absurd. Just so you guys know, Elon and I coach people for $50,000 a year. You can break down what that costs per hour. So, there's about $1,500 to $2,000 per hour is what we get paid for one-on-one coaching. So to come get coaching from us for $197 per month is ridiculous, but we love the group coaching. It's actually one of our favorite things to do. I look forward to it the most. Elon does too. We just had a meeting 2 days ago, so our next meeting will be August 30th. And again, if you go to youwillhaveitall.com and you go to the checkout page, you can type in Satori Coaching in the promo code box, and that'll bring you down to $97 for the first month. And if you don't like it, I think that's chump change to give up. And then if you do, you'll continue the membership at $197. Got that all out there. All right, so is there any questions about anything that we discussed today? Whether that is about anything we talked about today, anything about the live event. And Broski, I got to get out of here in literally like 2 minutes. So I'm going to leave soon, but I want to just...
So there's one question in here from Anonymous that I think is a really good one. I don't know who Anonymous is. So in the scenario of being in an argument and me deciding to purely listen while the other person talks, what if they're totally in their ego and you can see that they're lost in the height of the emotions and not saying anything productive? What can I do in that situation?
Should I go? There's not much you can do, right? If your perception is you're going to change somebody, well, especially in that state, you're not going to do anything to provide value. My inclination is do the work on yourself, okay? A lot of people, like we say this in our group coaching all the time to them, we say, guys, you chose this journey. Your family, your friends, if they're not into this conversation, they didn't make this choice. That's like saying you chose to eat chocolate cake and you're going to make other people wrong for not eating chocolate cake, right? So if you're going to do work on yourself. Wayne Dyer has this line, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. We're here to give you access to new paradigm perspectives. When you do that, the world around you, I'm not joking, will physically take on different shape and form. I'm saying like colors may change, like your physical eyes may perceive the world differently. I know because it's happened to me. And then the way that you'll respond to them will change because you will have changed your perspective and they will naturally show up in a new way. If your impression is you're going to learn how to do work so you can do work on them, they're going to freaking hate you. That's pretty much what's going to happen. They're going to get way more defensive about the way they are. And the more defensive people get, the more they believe in what they already believe in.
All right, here's the analogy. Ready?
Shoot.
In order for that person to stay activated, they need a partner. They need resistance, okay? So usually in an argument, it's like this, two people pushing each other this way and this way. Once this leaves, this person gets disarmed. They almost like wibbly wobbly. Next time you go to lunch or dinner or whatever, you're hanging out with your friend that loves to argue with you all the time. Okay? Try this. When they say something, you just go, you know what? You're 100% right. See how that conversation goes. They will be flustered. They have no idea what to do because what they're waiting for, like they throw it out there and what they're waiting for is for you to jump back. Bro, if you got to go, go.
Yep.
And when you don't give them that, they have nothing. They don't know what else to do. And that creates space. And in that space, something new can happen. So to whoever asked that question, what I would tell you is this, just listen. When Guy talks about like do the work internally, it's can you be with them being that way? Right? Like for example, when my kid is having a tantrum, if I keep at him or her, I'm just making it worse. Right? Like if I try to reason and like do all these things, they're hijacked, they're gone. Everything that I'm doing is going to make it worse. So the work is done here. It's like, what space can you be? How clear and present can you be that just lets this thing pass? Because the nature of everything in life, I posted about this yesterday on Facebook, the nature of everything in life is temporal. Nothing lasts forever. Not the good, not the bad, not the sweet, not the spicy, nothing. It all goes. And if you actually looked at your life on a huge timeline and looked at like these monumental experiences, right? If like your life was blue, and then every time there was just some traumatic experience, it was like a red line or something. You know, how big when you're looking at your entire life are these red lines? Like they're imperceptible when you're looking at the grand scheme of things. But for us in the moment, it's just like the worst thing that could ever happen. And the truth of the matter is, in reality, like if you actually looked at your life, those cataclysmic, traumatic, horrible events have always been a course correction to get you back on the right path. And maybe that took you a year or 5 or even 10 to realize that that was the biggest blessing in disguise. But I guarantee every single one of you here, if I asked you to tell me your story, you would say that that was the greatest thing. Right? So in that moment, while these people are like in this heightened state, what you get the opportunity to is to work on you. You get the opportunity to be with them being that way. And just realize this, always keep this in the back of your mind. Every single human being, like we are not, Wayne Dyer used to say this great line, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, meaning every single person on this planet, however you judge them, good or bad, is a God in their own right. They have God spirit, infinite spirit inside of them. The difference is we're all on just like different parts of our journey, right? Some are newer souls, some are older souls, some are on their path to enlightenment, others are just, you know, doing the normal thing. And I love this line from the Bible. I'm not religious at all, but they know not what they do is one of my favorite lines. Like, people just do dumb shit sometimes. You are one of them. I am 100% one of them. I do plenty of dumb shit. None of us are perfect. So if you come at it like someone should be some way because that's your perception of how someone should be, how the fuck do you know that that's how they should be? How about they should be exactly how they're being right now? And the second you get that, and the second you stop arguing with, right, that gives them space. And in that space, they calm down. I have a friend that just argues all the time. And we were camping one day. We were having a conversation with a whole bunch of other people. And he came out and was just yelling about this and that and this and that. And like he would just be quiet for 2 minutes and then just jump back in and all this stuff. And at some point I went, what do you need to hear from us? Like, what are we not listening for? Like, what are we not hearing? Because he kept saying the same thing over and over. And he's like, I just want you guys to agree that I'm right. And I was like, you're 100% right. I agree with you 100%. And he was just shocked. He just didn't know what to say. And he just walked off and sat in a chair and didn't speak again. And I looked at my friend. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That really worked. Right? So that's the kind of work you get the opportunity to do on yourself every single time that this happens. Okay? So I don't know who asked that question. It was a very, very good question. All right, guys. So we'll wrap it there. I don't see any other questions here. Again, I know Guy left, but from both of us, thank you so, so much for showing up. I know some of you guys have been here, I think, for every single one that we've done so far. So I think like Ole and Mark, thank you guys for just being here every single time. It's amazing. We love it. Keep coming back. These will be different every single time. And again, for all of you guys interested, Ole and Mark, I know are already coming to the event, but anybody else, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. You can even contact me directly. It's elon@SatoriPrime.com. Or you can just head over to youwillhaveitall.com/live. All the information that you're pretty much going to need is there. I will tell you, if you are interested, say yes. Say yes to the universe and let the money and time and all these other bullshit reasons that have stopped you from doing the things that you've wanted to do for a long time, give yourself that breakthrough. just give it to yourself. Like, just trust. Sometimes in life, there's a trust and a faith that needs to happen. And it feels like you're jumping off a cliff, and on the way down, you figure out how to build a plane. If you never put yourself in those situations, and if you only live in that world that is comfortable of, let me see what I can do, you will just stay in that circle for a very, very long time. We had a woman from Australia last year move mountains to come to the event. I'm not kidding you, like literally move mountains to come to the event. And it ended up being that she brought her family, her entire family. They got to spend like 5 days in San Diego. Her son is obsessed with Legoland. They got to take him to Legoland. It just became the most magical trip of their lives. And she had to literally move mountains to make it happen. Didn't know if she was going to be able to get passports in time. Didn't know how they were going to get flights. And it all just started working. And she looked at me. She's like, Elon, I can't even explain it. I was like, you don't need to explain it. I just know this shit works. I just know this is how it works. So if you want to trust the universe, trust God, stop living by your butts. You either control the butt or it controls you. That's it. So I will leave it with that. You're very welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Love you all. And we will see you next Thursday for the next installment of the Have It All webinar series. Hope to see you guys in our academy, and hope to see you guys at the live event. Have an amazing one.